What's up, guys? And we are live for the last best ball stream of the 2024 offseason. Chuck Silver, Brian Jester. Brian, how are we doing, man? We finally made it. We were talking 60 days left, 20 days left, 1 day left in draft season.
It's finally here. I never thought it would get here. It never seems like it's going to get here once we're drafting in May and in your case in February. But now that we have a full season of content ahead of us, it very much feels like it is here. So how you feeling? How you feeling about your plan all off season to get as many drafts in as you wanted? Your exposures? How you feeling?
Well, looks like I'm going to end up with 1,560 drafts, 61, including this one throws
Wow.
off. I'm going to have to adjust something because I want even numbers, but
Have
I
to.
feel good. I don't think I'm ever doing this again. This was a unique summer where I had the time and I just thought I'd go for it. So hopefully it works out well. I remember feeling really nervous before last season, like, oh man, if I don't win money, this is going to suck. And I did. So hopefully the same thing ends up happening here. I know it's going to be a really, really fun sweat no matter what.
Yeah, and that's the reason we do this for the most part. The sweat is so good once the playoff weeks come around, and hell, we say we need one crack at it. You got 1,561 cracks at it, so you'll have some sweats there towards the end, I'm sure.
I'm just like last year, I dreamed about making a bunch of final teams. I made 8 on 600 entries. This year, it's like if I make 8 again, that's still really good. But I mean, 17 finals teams. Can you imagine?
I can, because it's going to happen. I believe it.
I have 3 finals teams in the MLB finals right now. None in the big one, but none of them are competing. 58th place, 87th place, and then got one in the little eliminator, 60th place.
I mean, that pays for a few best ball drafts here for NFL before the season starts. So
It was a profitable season. I had a few shots to win some money, so can't complain.
yeah, that's all you can ask for. And again, for those who haven't been through an entire best ball season, that's all you can ask for, right? Once you get to the end, there's a lot of luck involved. You just got to get yourself in the finals to have a chance at it.
And if this is your first best ball season, realize even making the finals, like you gotta play swell to make some profit. Now, Underdog just dropped the Pug 3 like 7 minutes ago. 3 entry max, 20-second clocks, $12 entry. We're gonna go ahead and rip one of these while we talk about the off season. So, I mean, we're what 26, 28 hours away from NFL. Hopefully, it's a good game.
I'm excited, yeah. And for those who are watching us on replay or live, this is the best ball channel, but over on our main channel at Occupy Fantasy on YouTube, we'll be doing the showdown preview videos every single primetime showdown slate, main slate videos live. I think Moose and I are going to do Saturday live Q&As now, where we kind of just review all the games on Sunday and in an attempt to help anyone who's playing, whether it's fantasy football, pick six, pick 'em sites, whatever it is, best ball, DFS. I just kind of go game by game review our thoughts there. So make sure you're subscribed over there on the Occupy channel. And Chuck, you're doing some writing for us this year for NFL too. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, can't wait. We're gonna start with the Friday night game. It's gonna be a little weird because other country, but it affects everyone. So we're not gonna cherry pick who we're gonna, fade that game.
Yeah, and with the X blackout in Brazil, we won't get any real time updates, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, we talk about it. Kind of reminds me of a preseason slate. There's the information is probably gonna be, harder to get. So if you take the time to find it, you can find that edge.
And we will. And that we will. So Chuck, I see this contest is filled. Shockingly, posted 7 minutes ago. It will probably be completely filled by the time we end the show in 45 minutes or so. Should we talk about our exposures, guys? We're going to be rooting for this year, this upcoming season, based on who we've drafted.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll pull up. I got 302 drafts in regular formats, and just put that on the screen. I think we have a lot of the same guys, but we also have some that are going to be wildly different too.
For sure. Let's go position by position, and we'll keep it on Underdog, and then maybe I'll mention some guys on other sites that I have a lot of. Have you found that your exposures are roughly similar on both sites, or all sites, or does it differ from site to site?
Uh, well, the thing is, like on DK, the values I'm getting are just so stupid that I'm never gonna get these exposures on any other site. And then Drafters, the format's a little bit different, but for the most part, like my top guys are my top guys on every site. So it's just how extreme, I guess.
That's fair. All right, let's start at quarterback. I'll tell you the guys, and this really shouldn't be too shocking. Late round guys that I've been talking about most of these drafts. Will Levis, Geno Smith, Bryce Young, who I started to get a little bit more of later in draft season. Just kind of figured how much worse could it be than last year? Number one overall pick, competent offense around him now. And then Jaden Daniels, Kirk Cousins, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson. Those are my top guys, but none over 15%. So I'm really spreading out at quarterback. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, my highest is Deshaun at 14. I don't think I've drafted him in over a week. So that was higher. I mean, I haven't been doing many underdog drafts, I guess, too. But yeah, it's just all value quarterbacks, kind of faded elite quarterbacks a bit, still 10% Justin Fields. You mentioned Caleb Williams. I really tried harder to get more Caleb Williams and CJ Stroud these last few days, given how much exposure I have to the rest of their offense. But it's tough to get them where they go in the drafts, I guess, just given the guys around them. But not too upset with my exposures at quarterback anyway. It feels a little too flat, but I sit here and think about like I really don't have any takes. So
I know. I actually have 1.9% CJ Stroud, none in Best Ball Mania. And excuse me, it's for the reasons you mentioned. Tough to get and no rushing upside. So I really don't think there's a way he truly kills you unless he throws for like 70 touchdowns this year. So we can clip this when that actually happens. But the same for Burrow as well. It's kind of a similar spot for me.
so I think I'm just gonna do the easy thing and take Puka and Marvin Harrison here. Week
Yeah.
17 correlation. That's
Let's
fine.
close out with one of the final drafts with the same combo we would get back in May.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, anything else in quarterbacks? We weren't really interested in any like backups, or were you fading anyone with the fear they'd get benched?
Not really. As far as elite quarterbacks go, we talked about it. I'm under the field on all of them except for Anthony Richardson, but it's not a crazy amount. 8% Lamar, 7% Mahomes, 7% Josh Allen, 6% Jalen Hurts, and that wasn't intentional. I even tried to get some of these guys a little bit later in draft season. It just, uh, um, I talked about it earlier. Those guys were easier clicks when he felt uncomfortable about the players around 3 through 5. And maybe other people just felt that way more strongly than I did and took these guys a little bit earlier than I was anticipating or willing to.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want elite quarterbacks, but I don't know the data. And last year they all failed, but across the board, lower advance rates, slightly higher EV in the finals. But I don't know. I'd rather, again, we talk about all season. I'd just rather hit on Baker Mayfield or Geno Smith and take Tank Dell instead of Lamar Jackson or whatever.
Right. I mean, you compare this to DraftKings, where it's even more surprising because quarterbacks go a little bit earlier over there. But I do have 13% Kyler, 13% Lamar, and closer to the 8 to 9% for the other elite guys and Mahomes, Allen, Richardson, etc. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel okay at quarterback. If Tennessee has a good year, Seattle has a good year, I'll feel okay. But I really don't think quarterback's going to kill me or make or break my season.
No, I mean, my whole strategy with quarterback was basically just who else is on my team.
Yep,
And so that
exactly.
dictated who I'm drafting at quarterback. I did just want to mention Bryce Young real quick. This is a guy who I believe I mean, like you said, he can't be worse than last year, but I wanted to get more of him. It's so hard to stack him though, because I don't believe in anyone playing with him.
I know. Most of the time it was like, oh, I need a secondary stack here, and I'll take whether it's Leggett or Thielen. I was clicking Deontay Johnson a little bit or in his at his ADP, so that makes it easier. And then maybe Jatavion Sanders would last round, especially on DraftKings. But I agree, not a great stacking environment.
Um, guess we can move on to running backs.
All right, let's see here. Who you got?
Well, no surprises at the top. Tony Pollard, James Conner, Ty Chandler, Khalil Herbert. My four favorite. I guess Jaleel McLaughlin was up there. He kind of fell out of favor for me a little bit towards the end, but I mean, it's basically this is all zero RBs. There's not a single elite running back in here.
Yep, not a single one. Let's see. My highest exposure to an early running back. I'm looking here. It's Achan. I have 12%. And I honestly probably wanted a little more as a potential game changer. But after that, it's 8 to 9%. Whereas the other guys are in the 20% range. Chase Brown, Jaleel McLaughlin, Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard, Kamani Vidal. Most of that was from early in the offseason. Zach Charbonnet, Jalen Warren, Najee Harris. So
Well, yeah, I mean, I have 11% Kyron. Love Kyron. Actually, surprised it's as low as it is, but out of everyone else. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you about running backs, like you mentioned Chase Brown. I was pretty high on Zach Moss. I'm still trying to draft as much. I guess I only have 12% here, but are there any backfields you wish you drafted differently with the information you have now, or are you pretty happy with how you ended up?
No, I feel pretty good actually. I have more Blake Corum than Kyron, and that was by design. And I feel just as strongly about that as I did before the infamous Kyron is returning punts news. But other than that, not really. Let me scroll down to the bottom, and maybe that'll tell me a different story. What about you? Any backfields that you would have drafted differently?
I don't think so because like I still like Zeke over Rico Dowdle despite the reports. Still like Zach Moss over Chase Brown. Um, yeah, I don't think I would have pounded James Conner a little harder when he was going in the 90s. Was fading Trey Benson all along anyway.
Yeah,
Miami,
yeah,
maybe I'd spread this out a little bit more. Like you have 12% HN. I wouldn't mind having 12% HN.
sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm looking here. I have non-0% of Kendra Miller, and considering how much Dennis Allen hates him, I'm not sure that's right. I think I'd rather have 0% based on everything Dennis Allen has said about Kendra Miller. Um, the one person who could kill me is Kamara, who I have 5% of, and I don't, all the situational factors point to him not killing me. Where are you on Kamara?
I love him.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
there we go.
I 15%.
All right, all right, all right. So if he kills me, at least it does something for you.
I will say in these late drafts though, I've been pretty much always taking the wide receiver instead of him. I'm going super heavy zero RB in these last few drafts. I don't know, just feels like I didn't hit it enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just some of these guys are so easy to click by going zero RB. I have 8% Javante and whatever 20% Jaleel. Are you roughly similar? Is that how you feel about that Denver backfield?
16% Jaleel, 9% Estime, 4% Javante.
Oh yeah, and let me see. And Audric, I only have 3% on Underdog, but I have a lot more on DraftKings because he kept falling to like round 20. I was like, I'll take him every time in round 20 on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's how I was like him or Madison, just flip a coin, mix it up. I'm trying
Yes.
to draft anyone else, but I just don't these guys no one else is going to score fantasy points that's left, so it's really difficult down there.
I know. I was like, okay, maybe I can mix it up a little bit. But when SMA and Madison are there every single time, it's like, well, I'm going to take
Hmm.
them around 20 or around
Yeah.
19, whatever it is.
Like Deontay Foreman.
Maybe.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I have 4% on Underdog, so I mean, I'm gonna have a few percent of basically everybody though.
Right. When you draft 1,500 teams, yes, you will.
Yeah.
Just real quick, anybody that you're definitely underweight on that you having last minute regrets?
Wouldn't mind being a little higher on Chuba. I'm surprised I still have 7% Bijan. I feel like I haven't drafted him in weeks.
All right.
Yeah, I
Well,
think A Chain's probably the main one. I feel
okay.
I feel pretty good about everything else here though.
I have basically no Chuba, so we're on the same page. Let's root for a quick Jonathan Brooks recovery.
Yeah, getting him at pick 140 on the other sites these last few days, it's
Yep.
feels good.
Yes, it does. All right. Shall we move on to wide receiver?
Let's do that. I mean, Rashi Rice 26%. But
Was that mostly early in the offseason?
yeah, my average ADP on him is like 53 or something on
Mm,
Underdog. So I got great value on this. I was still drafting him into like the early 40s. So my average ADP was actually much better. But like the time box $3 20 maxes that dropped last week where no one got that ADP advantage, I'm very comfortable drafting him. I think I have him like 31 overall in my ranks. Uh,
mm.
but this feels great. If I'm right, I'm pretty sure this is going to be pretty powerful. And then the other guys, other than Gabe Davis, everyone and Jacoby Myers, everyone goes in the top 4 or 5 rounds.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I got a comment in the chat. If you can turn your mic up a bit, Chuck.
Yeah. Does that make a difference?
To me, it sounds great, regardless. So we'll see if the chat agrees.
Okay.
All right. See, Rashi Rice, Gabe Davis, Amari Cooper. Shocking, another year of Chuck drafting more Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Where are you on the rookie receivers? Let's see your exposures on those guys.
Rookie receivers. Who do we got? Marvin Harrison, 9%. It's actually, it was like kind of one of my fades. So not disappointed about that. Neighbors, 3%. Make this pick. We're just gonna take CJ Stroud because I auto drafted Stephon Diggs with Tank Dell. So
Okay.
This draft is going well for anyone paying attention to the draft, by the way.
I mean, honestly, you got this actually looks pretty great. So
Yeah, I mean, I would have taken someone over Kirk right there, but this feels fine.
yeah, totally fine. All right, I'm mostly interested in Adunze, Brian Thomas. I guess Pearsall now that it sounds like he's gonna be okay.
1%
McConkey, any of those
Pearsall.
guys? Yes.
McConkey,
Yeah.
0.3%.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty happy about that.
Chuck is
Jones.
very anti young guys here.
Yeah, it's just like he was never a guy either that fell. Because if he fell 20 spots, I'll take anyone if they fall 20 spots, but
Sure.
somehow he just never did.
All
And
right.
then, where are you on the rookie receivers?
I'm high. I'm high. So I have McMillan 15%, Odunze 14%, Brian Thomas 14%, Pearsall 12%, Jalen Polk 11%, McConkey 11%, Roman Wilson 11%. What else we got here? Neighbors and Harrison, I am in line with the field at 8%.
So that sounds a lot better to me than what I have because one thing that I was pointing out all summer was it was something like 5 to 6 first and second year players on an 18 player
Mhm.
roster is optimal. And I don't think I accomplished that, but it sounds like you did.
Yeah, and maybe I have more than 5 to 6, so maybe the sweet spot is somewhere in between. But these are guys that I wanted, and often, like you just alluded to, these guys outperform their ADP more than veterans do. I'm not sure if the field has caught up to that. Maybe ADP has, and maybe it's not true anymore. But it's especially true on the other sites, where over there I have 31% McMillan, 18% Javon Baker, 18% Pearsall, 16% of Dunze, McConkey, Brian Thomas. Yeah. And like Brian Thomas is funny because in our staff chat, Chris is always promoting Brian Thomas propaganda and was even promoting Brian Thomas propaganda on the First Look show over on the main channel last night. And I was every single time I was like, yeah, fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. And then I realized myself I was well under on Brian Thomas. And I was like, well, let me rectify this. So I was actively drafting him more over the past month.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get my 3% up on Underdog, but I should be at least at 5% on the other sites. Hate to let Chris down and let him know that I'm underweight on him, but I just didn't
Not
get
good.
there that much, I guess.
Chris has so much more than all of us. He's got enough for all of us combined, so it's okay.
And I saw a piece of news. I thought he was already the starter, but he was announced a starter today.
Brian Thomas.
Yeah, let me pull it up so I
Okay,
don't mess
well,
up
that's good.
this headline.
That'd have been disastrous if not.
Brian Thomas named starter. The Jaguars won't be afraid to let Thomas swim as a rookie. Interestingly, Thomas and Gabe Davis have been in 2 wide receiver sets, leaving Christian Kirk on the sidelines.
Yeah, that was the most interesting part. And for us who played preseason DFS, we got to see a lot of these teams' rotations early, and oftentimes, especially early on in the first month of the season, the rotations and rest that they use in the preseason weeks carry over into the regular season, which is nice for these best ball takes, but it's also really nice for early season showdown. Like we know who Kansas City is likely going to use tomorrow, in addition to Baltimore at receiver. So helps our showdown lineups for paying attention during preseason. And yeah, that was interesting because Christian Kirk is the veteran, established guy. You would think, yeah, he's definitely number one there because Gabe came over in free agency and Brian Thomas is a rookie. And they're like, no, we'll keep Christian Kirk in this number 3 wide receiver role. Let the other two guys be the 1 and 2. So yeah, that was interesting to me.
I will mention that I'm pretty sure, again, they did this last season, but they're doing it again. It means they want to see if it works. And if it works, then
Yeah.
maybe he loses his spot. Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, or DeAndre, or any of these receivers.
I mean, Najee Harris, I've been clicking a ton. Aaron Jones when I need correlation. Um, but yeah, this is a pretty gross range, to be honest. Mostly I
Yeah.
just end up clicking Najee or Jalen Warren.
Yeah, I've usually been on a Najee, but there was no. I mean, I took Najee that time. There was no correlation. We're gonna take Tony Pollard. We got week 17 correlation too, so good excuse to pick him.
Always. Not like you need many excuses to pick Tony Pollard.
No, I mean he's got to finish his top 5.
how much Tajay do you have then? Not a ton, if that's the case.
Here's the thing: like I know that I should be kind of hedging this a little bit for percentage, and I probably have less than this on the other side. So that's like in my last few drafts today, I'm gonna try to get a little bit more. Kind of did the same with Trey Benson and James Conner, but
Yeah.
I think I'm right. So why, you know, don't want to hedge too much.
No, again, we can't hedge everywhere. We know that flatter exposures are good, but you still have to take some stands.
Mhm.
And I feel like the mid range running back area is the one to take stands. Whether you're right or wrong doesn't necessarily matter. Those are the spots to take stands as opposed to the early guys or historically situations that don't bear out profitable players. So
And then with receivers, do you have a guy going in the last rounds that's your highest exposed, or do you know who that is?
yeah, let's see on Underdog final round guys. Let's see. I'm scrolling down here. Let me see. It's been Roman Wilson lately. I mean, I was willing to draft him around 15, and then the injury happened, and he's still going to be ready for week one, it sounds like, and now he's dropped around 18. So Roman Wilson on a team that's desperate for a number two receiver. Jalen Hyatt, I'm up to 9% on. He's probably the last round guy I've been clicking the most.
He's been my biggest target the last few days. Yeah, there was
Nice.
something like he was listed as the starter on the
Yep.
depth chart, right?
Yep. Love to hear that. I mean, this goes with the theme. Second year guy,
Mhm.
another year in the league, and then let me see on Underdog or on DraftKings. There's definitely another guy that I was clicking a lot of. What on DraftKings I was trying to mix it up a little more because let's see, wide receiver. I mean, honestly, you can get Pearsall in round 20 now, so again, I'll take that every time. And Malik Washington, Troy Franklin, these rookie guys on, especially Washington on good offenses.
Okay, nice. Yeah, Malik Washington's definitely been one of my targets recently too.
Yep. Sounds. I don't know when Odell, if ever, is coming back. So
Tyreek said he hasn't seen Odell in a week, and it was supposed to be funny,
yeah.
but I don't think he was joking.
No, everyone laughed. He's like, no, but seriously, I actually haven't seen that guy.
Yeah, so I mean, I drafted 0% Odell. I don't think I ever drafted him this offseason.
Yeah, I think you're fine then. Totally fine. All right. Any other interesting receiver exposures? Let me pull mine up, see if anything else stands out. Most exposed Buffalo receiver. I have Shakir. Who do you have?
It's got to be Shakir by a mile. I probably have more Shakir than everyone else combined.
Yep, I feel that way
Um,
as well.
Actually, not more than combined. He's number one, but
Okay.
less than I thought. Interesting.
All right. Um,
2% Mac Hollins.
Shoeless Mac Hollins. I like it.
Yep.
2%.
Yep.
He's been a nice 18 round click too when you have Josh Allen. And I was just scrolling through showdown slates on Sunday. Mac Hollins is like 2K on DraftKings, so like him as a punt in week one on showdown slates.
He's starting, isn't he?
At bare minimum, and I think it's probably like a 3A 3B situation with Keon Coleman, but Hollins is going to play 20 30 snaps, and that's certainly enough to get there.
All right, let's play the 3A guy.
Yeah, exactly, and not the 3B guy being drafted in round 7.
We looking for a running back here? Jerome Ford, Brian Robinson, Curtis Samuel.
Um, I mean, we just slandered all the Bills receivers except Shakir, so it can't be Curtis Samuel.
You're right. Do Brian Robinson.
Like that. Do you have more Robinson or Eckler?
It's got to be Robinson. I'm pretty sure. Commanders. Robinson 14%. Eckler 7%.
Interesting. I have more Eckler, but I actually like Robinson more, so that clearly didn't pan out as I wanted to.
There was the thing is, I think he's going higher here than he is on one of the other sites because I have a ton of Eckler on one of the other sites, either DK or Drafters.
Yeah, he's going much later. I think it's DK where he's going much later. We got Elvis in the chat. What's up, man? Thanks for joining. Let us know if you got any questions. Final best ball stream of the season. Any other receivers you want to talk about, Chuck, or should we move on to tight end?
I think we're good there. We can move on to tight
Oh,
end.
I do have one more question. Green Bay receivers. What are your exposures to those guys?
Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Dubes, all 11 to 13%. Bo Melton 5%, surprising. And then Dontavion Wicks 3%. But I did just take Dontavion Wicks here, so 3.3% now.
Hey, there we go. I am almost opposite. I have Wicks the most, and then Reed, and then Watson, and then Dobbs. But we're on opposite sides on a couple of these things here.
Yeah, I don't hate it though. I mean, one of us is gonna be right, or we're both not gonna be right. That could work too.
Yeah, it's going to be Malik Heath somehow, number one receiver.
I will say I haven't been taking Jaden Reed that much recently. I think Christian Watson's probably my favorite guy to click on now, and then Tucker Kraft in the 20 round drafts is just he's always there, and he just to me he seems very good.
Round 20, I agree. Tucker Craft, round 20 for sure. Um, I think I talked you into the 4.3% Musgrave. That's about it.
It's possible because I don't even remember clicking on him this many times.
Speaking of Watson, I think Adam Levitan retweeted it, but it was an off-season report that the reason that Watson had so many hamstring issues was he had a 20% difference in muscle mass between his left hamstring and his right hamstring. And apparently, that's down to 8% now. And any type of imbalance of that degree can cause so many hamstring strains. So maybe I have that because I strain my hamstring seemingly once a quarter. So I need to see whatever Dr. Christian Watson did.
You got to stretch.
Dude, that's not the issue. I stretch more than any human on the planet. That I clearly have a muscle imbalance. I need to find out what Christian Watson did.
Well, we'll see how Christian Watson does, and then we'll go and hook you up with the doctor next off season.
Please do. I did. This is not a stretching video by any means, but I used to do a lot of static stretching, which apparently is not great for your muscles. But I've been doing more dynamic warm ups. That seems to have helped. So if you're wondering about that at home,
good to know.
All right, Chuck Elvis in the chat. He has a home league question, trade question. Let's see if we can help him out here. I know we get a lot of people, especially this time of year, asking about trades and asking about their home league lineups, and we'll happily help those while we're drafting teams here. So, so you can help with this home league trade: Pacheco and Debo, or James Cook and Puka, full point PPR rest of the season. So you get to choose one of these sides: Pacheco and Debo, or James Cook and Puka. Which one would you choose?
I don't think I have an immediate reaction that one is much stronger than the other. They're both, I feel like they're kind of close.
Yeah, I think it's extremely close. I guess because basically you're getting a late round 1 guy and a round 5 guy in James Cook versus a round 2 and a round 3 guy. I think, gut reaction, I'd go Pacheco and Debo, Elvis. But I do think it's close. I don't think either one is ripping off the other party in that trade.
Yeah, I mean, I like Debo and Puka. Don't really
Right.
like Pacheco or James Cook, unfortunately.
I know. Well, if we can see how much Pirine plays Thursday night, that could be a much different answer here in 20 or 30 hours.
I don't know how many drafts you've been doing, like specifically the last 2 days, but have you been drafting him?
A little bit, just in
Yeah.
case, he's McKinnon light. So
Yep.
yeah, have you?
Oh yeah. If he's there at top of ADP, I'm clicking him like every time. It's just especially in like the DK Millie, it's been open all summer, and he's probably been drafted in most teams, but still feels pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to just mix in some new guys into your exposure that have a real chance of scoring points, as opposed to clicking the same guys. So for that reason alone, I think he's worth clicking here in the next day or so.
And I think we wrapped up receiver.
Yeah, I think all my questions I had were answered. Let me just double check here. Yeah, I think that answers everything I was looking for. All right.
Going to take Trevor Lawrence here. Last week correlation with Tony Pollard, and we have
Nice.
Christian Kirk, so that works out.
Nice, like that.
So with tight ends overall, I thought I wanted to be in on elite tight ends, and I found out that I wasn't.
Yep.
So.
Same with quarterbacks, dude. It's the same way. I was like, yeah, I think these are the best plays, and then I just ended up either at or underweight on all these guys.
It's just so hard to click on these guys where they're going, knowing that the receivers are going to be much weaker next round. And just my teams look better when I don't take an early tight end. I mean, like George Kittle goes in, the 5th, 6th round, so that's a little different. But the earlier guys, Kelsey, Laporta, Trey McBride.
Yeah. I mean, looking here, we both have Otten and Likely in our top 5 exposure, so we're finally on the same page here.
I love Likely. Otten, see, like Otten, my argument with him is I'm pretty sure he led the league in snap share last year 100%.
Yeah.
Or route rate or whatever. It just his efficiency is like those charts. He's literally at the bottom left because he just doesn't do anything, but he's on the field.
And we'll take it. And again, it depends on the type of tight end room you have. If you're pairing him with a rookie or a guy like Likely, it's nice to have someone who's going to be on the field scoring some points as opposed to just giving you straight zeros.
And then, did you take a lot of two tight end teams, a lot of three tight end teams?
Yeah, mostly two tight end unless I fuck around and get auto drafted. I was building the most perfect slow draft team. There's so much correlation, ADP value, and I've timed out and ended up with 6 commanders on my roster. It ruined everything about it, and it really set my mood back a couple of days.
I remember you sending that one to us. That hurts, man.
It does, yeah. But I've mostly have been two tight end teams. Um, I noticed I wanted some more Jake Ferguson. I noticed I was really light. I got that up to right around what the field is. Um, I thought I was overweight on more tight ends. It looks like I spread it out more than I thought I did. So
I think my exposures are a little bit more extreme on the other sites too. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. These are all late round guys. Not as I mean, George Kittle, the only elite tight end that I actually like, and Joku, I guess. Jelani
uh,
Woods, dead.
I know, man. Speaking of bad hamstrings, yeah, that guy.
And then, what did you? Were you overweight on any of the rookie tight ends, or close to the 8%? I guess.
I don't think so. Let me see. I'm scrolling now. I have 8% Ben Sinnott, mostly because he's been auto drafted by accident many times. Who else here? Brock Bowers, I'm at 7%, not a ton. And then like Jatavion, Theo Johnson, those guys, 3%. So no, I'm not. Are you?
No, I have less than 4% of all of those guys you just mentioned. Drafted Brock Bowers twice, apparently.
It's just not like last year. These guys aren't in smash spots in the second half of the draft. So not smash spots, but like you see paths. I don't necessarily see paths plus player profiles that
Mhm.
fit what we saw last year.
Yeah, it just gets so gross when I get down to the bottom.
Yeah, I agree. Colby Parkinson obviously got the starter treatment in preseason. Uh, I wanted to click a little more of him, but he ended up going a little higher than I wanted to, and I'm okay being underweight if he was going to go around 15 or whatever he ended up going in late August.
I will say on the other sites that are 20 rounds, I do have more of all of these guys at the
Yep.
bottom,
Yep.
just because we have to have another player on those teams. But looking at my underdog teams, 300 teams, and it looks like I'm actually pretty split between two and three tight end teams.
Mm. Was that by design?
Nope,
Just happened.
just happened. Yeah, I'd prefer. Well, actually, I don't know what I prefer. If I prefer two tight ends like a Dalton Schultz and a Goddard, or like because I just punt three tight ends so often.
I know. So yeah, and again, it goes back to the type of roster we're constructing. If we're not taking elite tight ends, so maybe I do have more three tight end builds than I thought, because I'm underweight on most of the elite tight ends. So yes, on 20 round sites, do you think four tight ends is okay, or do you still cap it at three?
I think it's fine because so on the 20 round sites, in the 20th round, I feel in even 19th round, we can do stuff because most of the time I'm good at running back. I'm good at wide receiver. Like
Yeah,
if I need one of these positions in the 19th, 20th round, I'm probably hurting in my roster. And so just taking that shot on the fourth tight end, and this doesn't apply to every site, but when I did the marathon stream a few days ago, I showed the winning team that was on drafters a couple last season, and they drafted four tight ends in the last 6 rounds.
oh
Taysom
wow,
Hill, and Sam Laporta were two of them. And so the other two were bricks, but it doesn't matter because you hit on, two top 7 tight ends. So
exactly.
I think just take shots. And if one of them's a zero, it doesn't matter if the other one's a smash.
Yeah, that is true. Because you think about it from the perspective of, oh, I have four guys to potentially get me points, not even thinking consciously about the unintended upside of I have four shots at guys who could be difference makers, not necessarily four guys who can give me points. So that's just another reason I think it does make sense on those sites.
Yeah, and it's like at the tight end position, if I get an extra 12 points from a player throughout the whole season, that's probably more points than I'm going to get from some of my other late round
Right.
picks.
Right, dude. Like, how often are these running back threes that are drafting around 19 or 20 even going to see the field?
Right. And it just, most of these players that we were talking about, these zero RB guys, even the ones down here, like Charbonnet's going to play, Hubbard, Algier's going to play, and Bucky Irving is going to play. The rest of these guys, we don't know that they're going to play, right?
Right. I was just about to ask you, Braylon Allen. I mean, he is very much in the Jordan Mason mold where he seems to have the backup job locked up. Stud running back in front of him. Both guys are talented in different ways. Um, Obviously, you feel it's appropriate since you drafted him around 13 when both these guys were being drafted around 17, 18 later. But obviously, there's like you said, this is a time box draft here, but round 13, the guys are more likely going to give you zeros on most weeks. But if they hit and the guy in front of them goes down, then they're like top 4 draft round draft picks. So
Yeah, and I'm not super in on Braylon Allen. I guess I'm at 7%, but this was just purely for the playoff correlation. And I think you're the one who first told me this strategy earlier in the summer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but draft Braylon Allen on Bijan teams, draft Tyler
yes, yeah,
Algier
yeah.
on Brees Hall teams. And so that's something I've been trying to consciously be aware of too.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I won't take credit for it if it hits, but I do like that strategy, and I did tell you about it. But um, I actually have more Braylon, way more Braylon than I do Tyler Algier. I think just from a factor of you were able to get Braylon later, earlier in the offseason.
So with that, does that have anything to do with your feelings on Brees Hall versus Bijan? Like I'm fading Bijan kind of hard. So I'm trying to get more Algier as a result.
No, I understand that, and that makes a lot of sense if you feel that way. I personally don't feel like I can make such a big distinction between Brees and Bijan in round one. Um, so no, but if you do feel that way, which you do, then I think it's correct to draft more Algier.
I'm kind of fading Brees too, though. I'm at 8%, 7% Bijan. I'm not really drafting either of them over the past few days, though. Just going only wide receiver in the first round, unless it's
That's fine.
CMC.
That's fine. And I think 8% is fine anyways. Like that's not a complete fade. You're basically almost at the field, and that's not enough to kill you if they have legendary seasons. All right, here we got another question. Easy B in the chat. What's up? Another season long question. This is actually a dynasty question. Would you guys trade a 2025 second for Ford? So that's Jerome Ford. 2025 second. You think of guys who were drafted in the second round this year, rookie drafts. Guys like Braylon Allen. Are they worth more than Jerome Ford? I don't know, Chuck. I think you're high on Ford in general, right? But there's a chance we only get him for 4 to 6 weeks as a lead back. I guess just talk to me about your prospects of Ford Cleveland backfield for 2024.
It's not that I'm high on Jerome Ford, the player. I'm just high on whoever gets carries in this offense. I think they have the number one ranked offensive line, and I kind of walked back. Like I was pretty high on Nick Chubb, but now think I'm completely out. I'm not drafting him anymore.
Okay, that's fair.
So, but for the future, it's like I don't know if I believe in Jerome Ford, the talent. Like I said, it's just if he's going to get the ball, then I want a piece of that.
Right, and so that's how I feel for dynasty leagues. Easy B is I want to trade for talent,
Yeah.
and I want to draft. I want to draft and trade for talent and pick up guys in good situations off the free agency wire, so that I would trade Ford away for a second round pick. I would not trade my second round pick in the future for Jerome Ford just to get potentially only 4 games of production. And Chuck, honestly, maybe less, right? Maybe Foreman plays more than Ford does. So, I'm not going to draft away or trade away a draft pick for a situational guy for a couple weeks.
It would be hilarious if Deontay Foreman was the guy before Nick Chubb came back, right?
It actually would be. Do you have any Foreman?
I have 4% on Underdog, and I have to have like 11, 12, 13% on DK because I don't know who else to draft. And there's a point in the drafts where those other guys we talked about are gone. There's literally no one else I can project to score fantasy points.
I
I
know.
know Deontay Foreman's going to score a fantasy point this season. He had a 33-point game last year. He's not dust.
No, he's not dust at all. Not at all. At all. So no, I agree with you. And maybe in these last few drafts here over the next couple hours on DK, I will do that. Yeah, no, easy asking about Chubb. I think they restructured Chubb's contract to be more team friendly, so it doesn't sound like he'll be leaving the team anytime soon. Now, obviously, he could not be the same player potentially with that injury. So, either way, the long standing point of not trading for situation, instead trading for talent, I think applies here. So I would hold on to my second round pick.
Yeah, especially it's predictable that there's going to be a point in the season where you can get Ford for much cheaper than that if you
That's
want
true
him for the future.
too. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a good point too. Rookie quarterbacks, Drake May. I know you're drafting Brissett in the Superflex contest, but Drake May, Bo Nix, now that he's been cemented as the starter. How you feel about those guys? How's your exposure look?
I hated Drake May for most of the summer, and then I saw him play football, and he was kind of good.
Yeah, dude, that's all it takes. It's just one
Yeah,
one clip or one drive, and this dude, he's got it.
and it's like we don't want to overreact, but okay, this guy is clearly the most. I don't want to say he's now the most talented player on the Patriots, but he's the guy that they should be interested in seeing what he's got, right?
Yes,
And so
agree.
I'm up to 8% on Underdog. I think he's my
Oh, nice.
second highest exposed over on DraftKings. I have like 13 or 14%. So that feels bad. I'm trying to not draft him anymore since I'm kind of overweight there. But yeah, him versus Bo Nix. We know Bo Nix is starting. Still don't feel great about him, but it's really easy to stack either of these guys at the end of drafts. So they're really easy to tack on.
Yep, I agree. And Drake May has the rushing upside. Bo Nix does not for the
Yeah.
most part. So I think your
Yeah.
exposures are good. I think it's fine there.
Uh, your boy. If you didn't mention you like Dolchich, I'd have 0%.
Well, I have a clinical problem with Dulcich. Like every year drafted him, talented. There's no reason to believe he's the guy this year, but he's a pass catching guy, athletic, has had some games in the past. Like it could very easily be a 3-man show with him, Troutman, and Kroll. But and to be fair, I don't even have that much Dulcich. I have 8%, so like it's not like a crazy amount.
I have 1% on UD, probably 3 or 4% on the other side. So it's not too much, but it's more than the 0 I would have had. I mean, if you look at the advanced stats, it's the same reason we like a lot of other guys. He can catch a
Yeah,
long
exactly.
touchdown. That's
Yeah,
literally it. And
that's all it is.
took Jalen Hyatt in the last round. We mentioned this is one of the guys that we're targeting over these last couple days.
Love that. And again, Ricky Pearsall's still there for those who missed out early in the summer. You get him around 18 now. Somehow survived the gunshot wound, but is going to be ready to go after 4 weeks. So, um, again, crowded room. But if Ayuk or Debo goes down, you should have a pretty big role.
And we saw Brian Robinson got shot in the leg, dude, and he played that season and was good. So
Not even that much longer after getting shot. So obviously it's
yeah,
different than getting shot in the chest, which is
I,
crazy to say, but
it's already in the weight room. Like I'm just waiting for him to walk out to Many Men, and
I did.
it's gonna be so fun.
It's gonna be so good. I mean, these guys are just built differently. Obviously, they're professional athletes, but like I get shot in
Yeah.
the chest. Like I promise you, I'm not lifting weights 3 days later.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting at home for a bit.
That is for sure. Um, all right, guys. So that just about wraps it up. We appreciate everyone who tuned in all summer long. This is draft number 55, and we'll just some more content. Let us guys know if you watch this on replay, either comment or DMS or email us if you liked the first look show that Chuck and Chris did last night. Maybe that'll be a weekly thing. As we get a first look at the motto and draft some underdog teams in the battle royale. So let us know how you feel about that. But until then, the rest of our NFL content is going to be over on the main channel at Occupy Fantasy. You can search for it. It's on our website as well. We'll have videos 4 or 5 days a week. So looking forward to that. And Chuck, looking forward to a profitable season here.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you for joining me today, reviewing the off season. We'll talk more about this stuff during the season, but it's been great, man. Really appreciate the opportunity here.
No problem, man. And just, we're going to blink and we'll be drafting playoff teams here pretty shortly. So enjoy the ride.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So we'll see you guys. NFL season starts tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed to all our channels, and good luck.